I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. Ynet reports that Israel's military police arrested a Palestinian carrying an improvised explosive device and a large knife on Wednesday. The man was caught in the Bekaot checkpoint in the Jordan Valley. He was taken for questioning. The IED he was carrying was dismantled by a bomb disposal unit. The New York Times reports that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has asked Jewish agency head Natan Sharansky to look into the issue of women's prayer at the Western Wall in Jerusalem and to come up with a possible solution. Sharansky said Netanyahu asked him on Monday to take up the matter and that he expected to have recommendations within a few months. The Times report quoted Netanyahu's senior advisor Ron Dermer saying in an interview on Tuesday that Netanyahu thinks the wall should express the unity of the entire Jewish people, both within Israel and outside of Israel. Rabbi Julie Schoenfeld, executive vice president of the Rabbinical Assembly, the international umbrella organization of conservative rabbis, has long been supportive of all Jews having equal access to pray at the site. Schoenfeld released a statement in response to Netanyahu's actions, saying, "On behalf of the 1,700 conservative rabbis who comprise our movement, the Rabbinical Assembly supports Israel in its efforts to work towards ensuring women's equality and religious pluralism, both in the most sacred moment of prayer at the Western Wall and throughout life in Israel." Further saying all Jews should feel welcome and be legally permitted to express their Judaism freely at this holy place we all share. In 2003, Israel's Supreme Court upheld a government ban on women wearing a talit or prayer shawl or wearing tefillin at the Western Wall. It also bans women from reading from a Torah scroll there. The issue continues to be one of great contention, and most recently 4 women were detained at the Western Wall by Israeli police on December the 14th for trying to enter the site with prayer shawls in order to pray with the Women of the Wall organization, who fights for the rights of women at the Western Wall. The Western Wall is the only remnant of the ancient wall that surrounded the Jewish temple and was the western retaining wall that held up the mount upon which the temple stood. And staying with the area of the Temple Mount, Israel's Ma'ariv newspaper reported earlier this week that the Muslim authority that manages Jerusalem's Temple Mount has removed piles of dirt and stones excavated from the holy site and tossed them into a municipal dump. Israel's High Court prohibits any removal of earth or stones from the Temple Mount without prior notification to Israel's Antiquities Authority so that they can examine it for any possible artifacts. The Muslim Waqf that manages the site has reportedly been removing dirt and possibly artifacts from the site for years, which has brought protest from Jewish groups as well as archaeologists. Arutz Sheva reported that such a protest took place outside the northern gate of the Temple Mount on Wednesday, with demonstrators urging the Israeli government to do more to prevent this from happening. Tzachi Devira, the archaeologist who manages the team that sifts through soil excavated from the Temple Mount, told Ma'ariv that the piles in question were dumped on Sunday without notification and before any archaeologists could take a look at them. While police reportedly said the removal was coordinated in advance, Devira claims that there were no officials on site from the Antiquities Authority at the time and that the Waqf workers were taking advantage of a permit to remove construction debris from recent renovations in the area. He said that the overseeing of earth removal from the Temple Mount has grown very lax over the years, saying that the Israeli government needs to take more action. Jews regard the Temple Mount as their holiest site, where the first and second temple were located. The Hamas government in Gaza has banned Palestinian journalists in Gaza from working with Israeli media. Hamas released a statement Tuesday at the end of a government meeting saying that, quote, the government has decided to bar cooperation or work with Zionist media due to its hostility, unquote. Israeli media outlets rely on local Palestinian reporters and journalists for news from the Gaza Strip, since Israelis are forbidden from entering Gaza. According to the French news agency AFP, this is the first time that Hamas government has taken this action. And finally, Israel will begin permitting the import of construction materials into the Gaza Strip next week. 20 trucks with construction materials for the private sector use will be allowed into Gaza as opposed to construction material which has been entering Gaza until now, which has been earmarked for internationally funded building projects. Private sector building materials have been banned since 2007 due to security concerns that the material was used to manufacture rockets that were fired at Israeli civilians. This easing in the Gaza blockade is part of the terms agreed upon in last month's Egyptian-mediated ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. Guy Inbar of the Defense Ministry's Civil Administration said the changes also reflect the ongoing calm in the south. Inbar said as long as the quiet will remain in the south, our civilian policy and assistance to Gaza's residents will continue. And that's Shalom TV's news update. I'm Teisha Bader.